Welcome to Nexus Medical Media. In this video, we are going to talk about the fascia of the head and neck, and we'll also talk about the neck spaces. Right, so let's start with the fascia of the head. Right, so the first one is the temporalis fascia. Right, so this fascia covers the temporalis muscle, as you can see here. The next one is the parotid fascia, and the parotid fascia covers the parotid gland. The masseteric fascia, it covers the masseter, the muscles of mastication. Next is the buccopharyngeal fascia, right? So this is a layer of fascia that spans between the carotid sheaths, posterior to the esophagus, and lateral lobes of the thyroid gland. And if you look here, this is the larynx and this is the trachea, right? This is the pharynx, and this whole layer you can see here is the buccopharyngeal fascia. Next, we'll talk about the fascia of the neck, right? So just to give you orientation, this is the anterior side, back is the posterior side, right? So you can see the trachea, and behind it you can see the esophagus, and here is the vertebra, right? So because the structures in the neck region are very close to each other, there are many fascia that ensheath and separate them. That's compartmentalization of the different structures, right? So the first fascia, that is the outer one just below the skin, is called the superficial fascia. It's around here. That's the superficial fascia, right? So as I said, it lies just beneath the skin and the deep cervical fascia, right? So it's between the deep cervical fascia and the skin. It surrounds the subcutaneous fat tissue, the platysma, and the superficial nerves, veins, and lymph nodes. Deep cervical fascia, right? So the deep cervical fascia has 3 layers. The first one is the investing layer, right? The investing layer surrounds the sternocleidomastoid muscle, the trapezius muscle, right? And its position is directly under the platysma muscle, right? So as you can see here, this is the investing fascia, right? And you can see it splitting here. It contains this sternocleidomastoid, and on the back you can see the trapezius. That's the investing layer, the first layer. The second layer of the deep cervical fascia, here is the carotid sheath, right? Is the middle layer, right? It surrounds the following: the common carotid artery, the internal carotid artery, internal jugular vein, the vagus nerve. Depending on which level you can see here, this is the carotid sheath, right? So you can see the carotid artery, the jugular vein, and just behind here you can see the vagus nerve, right? What's the functioning of this carotid sheath? It keeps the internal jugular vein open due to negative pressure, in addition to enclosing the aforementioned structures. The next layer is the pretracheal layer, right? The pretracheal layer, it covers the esophagus, the trachea, thyroid glands, and infrahyoid muscle, right? So you can see here, this is the thyroid gland, right? So you can see this pretracheal fascia covering here, and you can also see it covering the this one is the trachea, and this one is the esophagus, right? So the infrahyoid muscles, the omohyoid, you can see it here, stenohyoid, stenothyroid, right? Stenothyroid, right? Okay, and this one is the investing fascia. I mentioned it sometime back, and this one is the carotid sheath, right? So again, the carotid sheath contains the common carotid artery, internal jugular vein, vagus nerve, with sympathetic chain behind it, right? So here is the sympathetic chain. Okay, and the next one here is the prevertebral fascia. Yes, here, prevertebral fascia. Right, so the prevertebral fascia surrounds the following: muscles, and the vasculature and nerves. Right, which muscles? The deep muscles of the neck, levator scapulae, and the intrinsic muscles of the neck. Vasculature covered by the prevertebral layer include the sympathetic trunk, brachial plexus, subclavian artery, phrenic nerve. Attachment. Cranially, it attaches to the occipital bone, and caudally, it merges with the endothoracic fascia and the anterior longitudinal ligament. Right, as you can see here. Right, so here is the prevertebral fascia attaching to the occipital cranially here, and here you can see it around T3 where it merges with what? With the anterior longitudinal ligament. Right, and here is the buccopharyngeal fascia. I mentioned it earlier in this video, right? And this esophagus, pharynx, just orientation. Okay. Next, we'll talk about all of these combined, all of these different layers of the deep fascia, right? So the deep cervical fascia is divided into three: the investing, pretracheal, and prevertebral layers, right? So the investing layer surrounds the sternocleidomastoid and the trapezius muscle, right? So you can see it outside here in green. Sternocleidomastoid and the trapezius muscle is in green. That's the investing layer. Next is the prevertebral layer in this lime color here, right? So this surrounds the deep back muscles and neck muscles. Okay, and next one is the pretracheal layer, right? The pretracheal layer surrounds the infrahyoid muscle, the thyroid, parathyroid, and the trachea, and the carotid sheath here. The carotid sheath, as I said, consists of the fascia from all the three deep layers and surrounds the common carotid artery, internal jugular vein, the vagus nerve, right? And behind it, you find the sympathetic trunk. You find it around here. Next, we'll talk about the deep neck spaces, right? So, the retropharyngeal space, right? So, the retropharyngeal space communicate laterally with the parapharyngeal space and may drain into the prevertebral space. The next one is the danger space. This extends from the base of the skull to the posterior mediastinum and is posterior to the retropharyngeal space. Why is it dead? Is it a danger space? It's because if there is any infection, it can actually get into the mediastinum, right? So look here, right? Just orientation, investing fascia. You can see it here. You can see the this one is the pretracheal space, the carotid sheath, and here is the prevertebral space, here and here, and the danger space. You can see it here, just just behind the alar fascia. The alar fascia is here in green. That's the alar fascia, and this is the danger space. Again, or on just behind it, you find the retropharyngeal space, right? This one is the cross section, right? So the one on the right is the sagittal section, right? So you can see the superficial space here. You can see the investing fascia here in maroon, and here you can see the pretracheal space just before the trachea. And if you go to the back, you can actually see the this one is the retropharyngeal space and the danger space. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave your comment in the comment section, and most importantly, subscribe.